Well, good morning, everyone. Here we are on January 29th, Monday. So everybody's getting back to work and getting back to their regular week and all that's going on. I'm sorry if I sound a little raspy, but the recovery from the fast is going as difficult as fasted. So it's really interesting how this fast was so much different than so many of the others, and so many people found it a real challenge this time. And so anyway, we press on, right? So today we finish off Genesis, and we finish off our look at Abraham's family, and right down to the very end, we see this as a family. Joseph seems to be the more righteous of them all, but even he used deception against his brothers in a form of vengeance. But right to the end, the brothers are lying because they're afraid that Joseph is going to do something with the passing of their father, so they lie about something their father didn't say. And it grieved Joseph that they didn't understand that he didn't hold them accountable. He had forgiven them, and that he gave God the credit for everything that he went through, the good, the bad, the ugly, um, to save people. And Joseph looked around and said, you know what? It was worth it. It was worth going through all that I went through to see how God has used me to bring salvation to these people. And we're talking about physical salvation. Um, but then you look at the family and you really scratch your head and you see how dysfunctional they were. Does that mean that they were the least dysfunctional of everybody around? Um, or was it simply because God knew their heart and knew that they would believe him? So when God made his promise to Abraham, he knew Abraham would believe him. Um, and that was seeded in his son, Isaac. So when God spoke to Isaac, it was the same thing. When he spoke to Jacob, it was the same thing. In fact, Jacob wrestled with him to have blessing. Um, Jacob had quite a few appearances from God compared to Abraham and Isaac. God appeared to Jacob many times. So you look at that and you think, what a dysfunctional family for God to use. And we should be encouraged because so often we try to write ourselves off. God could never use me. I'm too imperfect. I make too many mistakes. My mouth is too big. Uh, I don't discern very well. Blah 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 blah. We have all these reasons. Moses was a murderer. Somebody came up with a long list of all these great heroes of the past and all the dysfunction in their life, all the things they had done wrong, and yet they were considered heroes of faith. So who are we to question God's methodology? He seems to like to pick on the imperfect. He's never told us, well, he told us we are perfect. He told us that we are beautiful. He told us we are holy because this is what he's declared over us. This is what he's made us. We see all the wrong things and God sees all the potential for all the right things. And it's not that we're to stop pursuing righteousness, because we're told to. We have to pursue righteousness. But there's a difference between pursuing perfection and pursuing righteousness. And we in the church tend to throw out the imperfect. When somebody stumbles, when somebody falls on their face, when somebody sins, when somebody makes mistakes, we tend to write them off and get rid of them. The word tells us to restore them, because that's Father's heart. Father's heart is a heart of restoration. The prodigal son is a story about restoration. It's not a story about salvation. It's a story about restoration, the return of the child. And so when somebody falls on their face, we don't write them off. When we fall on our face, we don't write ourselves off. We understand that in this, there is glory for God. When we turn and we make the right decisions, when we repent, when we do the things that we're supposed to do, God receives the glory. Out of our imperfection, He is glorified. Every story in the Bible is about that. Everything we see in the Bible is about that. David turning back to God. Those Psalms, those heart-wrenching Psalms of crying out to God, don't take your spirit from me. It's about restoration. It's about redemption. It's the returning of the prodigal son. It's the fattened calf. It's the celebration. That's who Father is. I don't know. I don't know this legal lives. This legalistic church. I don't understand these voices of condemnation. I don't understand these things, because the more I study the gospel, yes, it is harsh, it is severe, and Jesus makes it very plain. You're either with him or you're against him. But falling on your face doesn't make you against him. Look at what Peter did, and Jesus went to him specifically and restored him for those 3 denials by having him confess his love 3 times. Can't we see the beauty in that? Don't we understand that? We don't condemn our brother and sister. We go to them in an effort of restoration and reconciliation. That's what we're supposed to be doing. That's who our God is. So you be blessed today. Take these words to heart. Let's not condemn people. Let's do what our dad wants, which is to see the very best in them. And I just encourage you in the day, pursue the Father's heart. Pursue the Father's heart. You be blessed.